Hello, good evening, everyone. I'm Dr. Nicole Forsythe, and the word that Calvin was looking for is physiatrist. That's a short way of saying physical medicine and rehabilitation. The short story of what that is I take care of musculoskeletal injuries, looking at the whole person. That's the specialty as a whole. And there are lots of subspecialties. I focus more on the spine with interventional spine procedures, but physiatrists can also treat patients' spinal cord injuries, brain injuries, sports medicine, general physiatry, pediatric rehab. So it's a very broad specialty that can be honed in. But what I do is interventional spine.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing that because I began to look it up. It's like I saw the sports medicine side, but I was like, wait a minute. I feel like she does so much more. So I started kind of grabbing things that I was familiar with. I was like the chiropractor and the other thing. And I think, is this true that you focus on the non-surgical part of sports medicine as
That's
compared to a chiropractor, which is
That's
pretty cool.
correct. So the orthopedic surgeons do the surgeries, and then chiropractors, physical therapists, they work with us, but they don't do the medical part of it. But we work very closely with chiropractors and physical therapists. I'm in a practice with orthopedic surgeons and a spine surgeon as well. So we're kind of in between what the chiropractors and physical therapists are doing and the surgeons. But I do a lot of procedures using X-ray guidance, so I can see the spine and do other clinic procedures as well, just not surgery.
Awesome, awesome. Thank you for sharing that. And the reason I really was curious about it is because I have two friends who are having all kinds of back and all kinds of pain, and they've tried all of these different, what do they call the different places, chiropractors, and they're stealing a lot of pain, and they're like, they don't know where to go. They don't know if they go to one of those other places. So I was like, wait a minute. I think I'm gonna have to connect them with Dr. Nicole because Dr. Nicole can point them in the right direction, and they're in Atlanta too. Well, without any further ado, the way we like to tell stories with Soul Thursdays, we start with our origin story, the messy middle, and the call to action. So I'm really, really curious, especially when I see somebody who works in STEM, to begin to understand, like, how did you even get into your career? How did you get into STEM? Do you mind telling us your origin story of how you got started?
From the very beginning.
From the, well, mine starts about 10 or 12, right? I don't know.
Okay, so mine started, I was pretty young. I always knew I wanted to be a doctor. I didn't know in the beginning, I didn't know what kind of doctor I wanted to treat animals or if I wanted to treat people. Somewhere along the way, I chose people. So all the way through middle school, high school, I was always doing volunteer work with in clinics, just learning about medicine. Then I got into undergrad, continued along that path, and verified that I wanted to go to medical school. And before going to medical school, I went to grad school. Then I went to medical school and I went to East Tennessee State University in Johnson City, Tennessee. Then I did my residency in physical medicine and rehabilitation at UNC in Chapel Hill. Then I did a fellowship in interventional spine procedures in Atlanta. And then I joined one practice and I was there for 5 years. And I'm currently going on my sixth year at another practice.
Awesome, awesome. I really love origin story because, it helps, people kind of see, and especially for people like my son who's listening, it helps them begin to say, I can do it too. I often have fun with my story where I was literally 10, probably 12, and I learned from my uncle how to break things and tear them apart. The origin story of an engineer. And after I hit a breaker switch one or two and the lights went out and my mother's going crazy, then all of a sudden my grandmother said, well, I guess that boy's going to be an engineer. And what I thought as a kid, wait, I can get paid for this? Well, go figure, right? It's nothing like a great origin story. So you haven't only done, what you do in your 9 to 5. You've also really got into helping other people. And you recently founded your own organization. Tell us about that organization that you established.
Yes, so I have started a business called Aplom MD, where I am doing online mock medical school interviews for all applicants who are trying to figure out how to prepare for their med school interviews, which is a really big deal. Once you get to that point, I'm helping with that. And the origin of that, it kind of almost fell into my lap. I just started doing interviews for people just because I wanted to help them. They were very nervous. And I said, hey, I can do an interview for you. And they would agree to it. We got it set up. And fortunately, because of technology now, we can do everything online. And I started doing them and they really felt better after doing their interviews. And I felt good helping them. felt easy for me. And then I just wanted to do it on a larger scale. So how can I do this on a larger scale? And then I thought, you know what? I'm going to make a business out of this. And I've continued down that path.
Thank you for sharing that. I think the word foundation of your business means self-confidence, especially under pressure. How did you land upon that name? Are you one of those person that's always confident? Because, I've been told that I don't embarrass, and I didn't think about that, but I'm like, I guess I don't get embarrassed, but are you like that person of confidence, or how did you choose that name?
So I chose a name because I wanted to find a name for my business that symbolized success, looking into the future, inspiration. And so I just really went online and typed in words to see what came up. The word aplomb came up. I had never heard of it before. And I learned that it was of French origin. It means self-confidence, assurance, or poise, especially under demanding situation. As soon as I read the definition of that word, that's what my business is going to be, because that's exactly what I want for anyone who I'm helping to prepare for their med school interviews. It just defines what I want for them, and it defines the business. It also defines what most physicians are doing, especially if they've been practicing for a while. You have to develop this confidence and poise as you're in all kinds of situations with dealing with patients, dealing with insurance companies, dealing with emergencies. All of these things are coming at us constantly. So we developed that aplomb, and it just fit everything. People say that you're never shy. I am really a shy person at heart. And so this journey of starting this business is helping me to grow as well. So I'm growing with my applicants because now I'm in front of people and speaking and guiding them and just kind of getting out of my own comfort zone. So I know what it's like for applicants to be nervous or shy on that side and help them get to the other side.
There's nothing like a person who can teach you and walk you on a journey and they get it, right? Versus the people who oversimplify it. Like, it's no big deal. Like, yes, it is a big deal. You come from a family of entrepreneurs. How did you kind of find yourself back into the entrepreneur role? How did you end up in the entrepreneur world?
I was running from it. So to give you the background of my family, they're all entrepreneurs. My parents ran a restaurant and they loved it and they put out a great product, but they never got to the point where they were running the business rather than the business running them. So I saw that and I said, I'm going to take the traditional 9 to 5 route. Then one of my brothers, he has a martial arts studio. He's had that for years. My sister and brother-in-law, they have a nonprofit and they are also a franchise owner of a spa. And my other brother, he makes educational content for children on YouTube, and he's also forming a nonprofit. And they've all written books. So I was the only one who was just not doing this. So then once I started looking into how can I help more med school applicants, I wanted to do it legit. I didn't want it just to be a little side hustle doing here and there. And so in order to do it legit and make the biggest impact, I said, okay, well, I got to start this business. So I went down the whole route of LLC, business license, everything. And I think what it came down to is that I guess entrepreneurship is in my DNA, and it eventually came back and got me. So here I am now. I'm an entrepreneur now.
Awesome. Well, kudos to you. I can imagine it's great to be in community. Let's talk a little bit about your method, the mindset, the message, the mastery. Can you walk us through what that looks like for a new client? I like to ask entrepreneurs, what does your ideal client look like? And I think it's a really good question because it helps you kind of envision that talking to customers. Walk us through what that looks like, your method, and what does your ideal customer look like?
So the core to a Palm MD is the personalization. Every applicant is different and every school is different. So to begin the process, one of my applicants or clients will book their initial consultation, and with that comes an intake form. Then I go over the intake form and it asks questions about where they're applying to, how many interviews they have. I'll get their actual personal statements, their med school application. I even want to know what their fears and concerns are. So I have all of that information ahead of time and I review all of that. And then we set up our call and we go over that in person. I take all of that information and develop a personal plan for their mock interview that is specific to that client. After that, we schedule the mock interview, and then we take it from there. But the key again is the personalization. Every person that comes through is not getting the same list of questions, and whether it's the traditional interview or what's called a mini interview, where there's different scenarios, they're all different. And so that's the foundation of what I'm doing. My ideal client is anyone who is trying to improve their chances of getting into medical school. Because once you get that interview, that's a huge accomplishment right there. It means that the school likes you. They believe that you have what it takes, but now they want to see who you are in person. There's also tons of other people who have also made it to that milestone. So now we have to help you stand out from all the other people. So the people who I reach the most are typically non-traditional students or gap year students, people who are maybe changing careers, who are not tightly connected to an undergrad campus anymore, where they can get a lot of those services. They have easy access to that. So I'm trying to fill the gap for the person who's ready to go down this journey, but don't have the resources to help them prepare.
Yes, yes, yes. As you're talking, thank you for that question. I mean, that answer, because it really helped me visualize the process. The way you described it, it's like if you get the request for an interview or the accepted to interview, then that's a major milestone. And as you say, now they're getting ready to see the weeding out process.
Yes.
And, because I had a buddy once, and I tell this story all the time, but he tells me how he was crying in an interview. I'm like, "You were crying in an interview?" He's like, "Well, based on what I do, it's a thing." And I'm like, "What? I don't know what that's a thing." Because, I'm looking at him, he a brother, I'm a brother. I'm like, "Dude, I don't know what Kool-Aid you drank, but I don't think that's a good idea." So I'm just going to ask you this question. This is off the surprise. Should we cry during an interview or not? I just don't know. I'm asking for a friend, literally.
You should not cry during an interview.
Okay, okay.
If you are nervous and you think you might cry, that's why you need to do a mock interview. You need to get all those jitters out of you. And you don't want the first time you are facing the pressure and the anxiety of the interview to be in that interview. Get it out of your system ahead of time so that once you are there, you're calm. You already got those tears out, you've got those jitters out, you've got the awkwardness out, you already know how to approach different questions, different scenarios, but no, don't cry during the interview. Maybe after the interview, if you feel like you didn't do as well as you should have, but not during the interview.
I'm using that answer for bragging rights. I will be calling my buddy saying, "You see, Dr. Nicole said." And anyway, what do you think is the number one mistake that you see med school applicants make during interviews?
I think the biggest mistake is when applicants don't realize how critical their interviews are. They feel like, oh, all I have to do is go in and have a conversation, or they're just winging it. Statistically, only about 40% of applicants get accepted to medical schools. So more than half of the people who apply are not going to get in. So again, once you get that interview, you have to take it seriously and you have to prepare. And preparing is different than if you talk to your spouse or your parents or your roommate. Unless they're a doctor, then they might have some more insight. But it's important to have that preparation in a realistic situation where you're sitting in front of your computer, you're doing your lights and checking your internet connection. Is your chair comfortable? Are you wearing the right clothes? How do you look on camera? And then just answering the questions correctly. What are your weak spots? Where do you need to focus? Can you clearly articulate why you want to be a doctor? Those are the things that you've got to practice. Not practice so much that you sound like a robot, but practice so that you're comfortable. And then once you have that practice, that's where the confidence comes.
Nice, nice. What I hear is it's almost like as a physician yourself, you you can be really listening in an interview for if an applicant is ready for medicine. Is that something you do? Are those some of the things you watch for, or do you kind of have your own set of things that you're watching to determine if an applicant is ready for medicine?
Yeah, so I listen for several things. One, can they tell me authentically why they want to be a doctor? That has to be the core of everything that they're explaining. The other thing I'm looking for is has the applicant had multiple exposures to medicine in different settings, because it's a big deal to make this commitment. And if the applicant has only had one shadowing experience or they've only worked in hospitals, then they'll have a narrowed view of what it's like to practice medicine. So I want to see that they've been in hospitals, they've been in clinics, they've done volunteer work, they've shadowed people from different specialties. Even if they think they know what they want to do, it's still important to see that. I think it's even helpful if they look at other healthcare fields, like work with the physical therapist or a chiropractor or a nurse, again, because there's different ways that you can enter healthcare to help people. So I want them to have a broad idea of all that healthcare encompasses. And so then if they do decide they want to do medicine, they say, okay, I really want to do it. And the other thing I want to see is how well they handle challenges they've had in their personal life, at work, in academics, because if they don't have a successful way of dealing with challenges, they're going to have a hard time, one, getting through medical school and residency and then practicing. So being able to handle challenges in a healthy way is also something that I'm looking for.
Nice, nice. You know, that old word resilience keep just going through my mind and how it shows up in so many places. One of the things I would talk to my friends who went through the med school process is, how do you best support? So for the families, the mentors, the aunties that are helping their future doctors prepare, how should they best support without adding pressure to an already stressful process?
That's a great observation. That is a stressful process. So I think the best way to offer support without pressure is giving your aspiring physician space. And if you have resources, share those resources, but give them the space to figure out where they're going and how they're going to get there. Give them the space to celebrate their wins and their challenges, but don't constantly ask where they are on this path, because it's a long journey. Getting into medical school and then becoming a practicing physician is a marathon, and there are many different paths to get there. So support by giving space, but not pressuring, observing and knowing that they will get there. Some people get there going down path A, some go down path B, some jump off, have gap years, do other things and come back. There are a lot of ways to get there, but constantly asking. It's almost like when people are at Thanksgiving and they ask, so when are you
Uh-oh.
getting married? When are you
Yeah,
having?
I knew that was coming. I knew that was coming.
Yes, this is very similar. So when are you going to medical school, or when do you get your scores back? They are,
Or have you matched yet? Or where you gonna
yes,
match? Or where you gonna go?
exactly. Yeah, so
And I'm getting stressed just hearing the question.
yes, it's there. So don't I don't use the word, but don't nag. Let your aspiring physician get there.
Yes, yes, yes. You know what I'm gonna do is pause for a second and give the audience a chance to ask questions, because we have people here tonight who may be the family members, the mentors. I call them the aunties of these future doctors, these future MDs, and they may have questions for Dr. Nicole. Let's see. Sometimes the audience is shy, sometimes they're not so shy. But let's see what happens. Coming from the audience, we see Katie. What's been going on in the chat? Because I haven't heard anything in the chat. Well, I can't even see the chat. I feel like I miss out because I never get a chance to see the cat. See, what's going on in the chat? What are people saying? Are they curious? Are they shy? What's going on?
Actually, the chat is I think it might be pretty quiet, but it also could be because I was just able to get back on. I had to reboot my computer. So I may have technical issues. I'm not certain if you guys can see more in the chat, but all I see is the "Say So No to the Crying" by Lola.
Say no to the crime? I have no
Yeah.
idea what that means. What's up, Lola? So, well, now's a good chance to go ahead and type your question, or you can come off mute and ask the question. But I'll go back to you, Dr. Nicole. Based on, I have my canned questions because I like to kind of walk people through the story, especially people who are new to this, right? Tell me this, what's something that you would like to talk about that we haven't already talked about? I mean, this is your passion, this is your baby, you're launching. Do you have any messages that you would like to share with the audience? Or more specifically, because I think if Tamika's on, she's going to drop your link in the chat where people can follow you. But what message would you like to share with the audience or for the recording to make sure that people walk away with?
I have two messages for those who are in the process and have some time before their interviews. Do your mock interviews. That's the biggest message. You have to do a realistic mock interview, and it's more than just getting some tips on social media. You have to be immersed in the real experience. The second tip is for those who are closer to the interviews. It's about to happen now. Be confident. Again, know that you were invited to the interview because the school thinks that you have what it takes. So don't second guess yourself. This is your opportunity to show who you are in person. So keep that in mind and don't let imposter syndrome derail your confidence.
That's real. It's so funny with stuff like imposter syndrome because, it's almost like it feels like, shouldn't it be gone by now? But it sounds like it doesn't disappear. I'm hearing imposter syndrome never disappears.
It does not. I think people can hide it well. Is everyone is not in their comfort zone 100% of the time. So I think anytime anyone is outside of that, there's some element of imposter syndrome.
Yes. And we have a question from Jay. Jay says, how do you find students who need you? I love that question because it's deep, yet it's simple. So, how does Dr. Nicole find students who need her?
So some is actually a lot right now has been word of mouth. They work in a medical clinic, and they're medical assistants and clinical assistants who pass through. And often they are there because they are trying to improve their chances of getting into medical school, or they just needed some time off but wanted to stay in the medical field while waiting to apply. And so that's how I've run across some of my interviewees that found out they wanted to go to medical school and said, hey, I'd love to help you out by doing an interview. One was I was at an event with a friend and completely unrelated. I'd never met her before. And we were talking, found out she's applying to medical school. She found out I was a doctor. And after the event, we exchanged information and helped her with her interview. And she did well. She's in med school now, her first year. So that's kind of where I've been starting. And I've been working. There's a chiropractor who I've known for many years. He's always passing my information on to people. The admissions committee, we're at my medical school, they passed my information on. So it's been a lot of word of mouth. Also, I've been doing a ton on social media, which is brand new to me. Prior to this venture, I did not have a TikTok account. I do now. And so that's where I'm putting a lot of my effort as well. Also developing relationships with MCAT or test prep services, career centers, volunteer services. So really anywhere where aspiring physicians might be passing through.
Nice, nice. And Jay has a recommendation. I do not know what an EA is, but executive assistant, maybe that's what that was. She says maybe she recommends partnering with HBCU or even PWIs, them people over there, could be an opportunity, right? I love it, right? And I would like to say at Soul Thursdays, because she's here tonight so that we can get the word out. Because the one thing I love about community effort, right, is that by getting the word out, we just dropped it a link actually twice, her hello card, which means you can send that hello card to a friend, a family member. You can actually even print it out and put it on a poster at your community college somewhere. But I love that because I always felt growing up that I call it, do you know somebody? When people ask that question, do you know somebody? And a lot of times you don't. But if you come here at Soul Thursdays, it's guaranteed we know someone that can connect you with people like Dr. Nicole. And I love how she describes, because that's where those people are. But they also are related to the people here at Soul Thursday. So thank you, Jay, for that executive
Yeah.
assistant. She confirmed that's what I'm like, what does that mean? So another question is, have you had any student who got into medical school come back and say, thank you for your informed work and your information and work on the mock interviews? I think you had this story of this young lady who cried, or person who cried, right?
Yes. So I did actually two interviews with her. Her first one, she got very flustered and kind of lost her train of thought and just actually kind of started crying during the interview. She got through it at the end. I said, now, aren't you glad this is not your real interview? And so then I gave her pointers, and then she couple of weeks later, we did the second interview, significantly better. She got her jitters out, plus she was able to practice with the tips that we discussed after her first interview. And she was just so thankful. And so she's the one who's in med school now, someone who I helped probably about 2 years ago now. I think she's about to start her third year of med school, maybe. She was just so thankful as well. And her thank you was she got me a cup of coffee from Starbucks. So they show their thanks in different ways, but I don't do it for the thanks. I just do it because I know what it's like to be on the other side. And I just want to help people to get there. And then I feel good doing it. That's all the thanks that I need. And I don't take it lightly. Being able to be a practicing physician as well as helping others is something that that humbles me, and I'm just glad that I can do that.
Yes, yes, yes. I love it. I love it. You know, I often talk about the ideal speaker for Soul Thursday, and I'm just having my mission moments right now. I'm like, she's doing the thing. She's doing the thing, right? It's that person who they not only go and they achieve and they work hard, but they remember their process and their journey, and they remember how to help other people. And Katie and I were talking about this earlier. You know, it's not just networking, it's a whole ecosystem. It's a network at work, right? And it's people who give and it's people who receive and then the people pour back into it. So thank you, Nicole, for Dr. Nicole, for doing that thing, because that's why we're here at Soul Thursday, to help people tap into the ecosystem and things as such. Well, I'm going to try something different tonight. So you guys may have about 5 more minutes with Dr. Nicole, because she may turn into a pumpkin. I think she got hard work tomorrow. But, you know, I'm going to try something different. I've been hanging out with my cousins, and y'all know what that means. It's called Clubhouse. Have y'all heard of Clubhouse? They crazy. I'm just telling y'all they crazy. Don't go over there because they like my cousin. I was on the family chat. Am I telling my business again? Okay, I'm on the family chat, right? And I don't know about y'all family, but I don't know why they turn it up. They turn it up. They mad at everybody, and then I got to come in and make the peace, right? But I would like to talk about some current events, because y'all at Soul Thursdays tend to get quiet on occasion. And I really, really want to give you guys a chance to have the mic and the talk. And then I'm going to do my D'Angelo set. But before I do, I'll transition to that. I want to say thank you to Dr. Nicole for doing the work that you do and beginning to do, as I said before, begin to think about not only your journey, but how do I reach back? And I love it so much because it's a process, simple, but it's scalable. I'm putting my MBA hat on, y'all. And what scalable means is that you can grow it into different ventures. You can get funding. You can get grants. You can get all kinds of ways to pay for this thing. And next thing you know, it's free to the people who need it the most. So I'm getting excited because then I'm thinking, wait a minute, it's also how many people need help in the corporate area because they have leadership desire, but they're nervous, they're shy, or they struggling with certain things, right? Wouldn't it be great if they like, I know somebody, let me connect you with Dr. Nicole. She focuses on medical stuff, but the thing that transitions is you're in a high pressure thing and you need pause. You need that thing she called what's the French word? The oblong. Y'all know what I'm talking about, the method, right?
Yes.
Yeah, y'all need some of that, right? And I love it. So shout out to Dr. Nicole for doing the work you do. Shout out to your team for setting up your lights and your background, because, you know, it's working for you.
That's
And
my
thank you.
husband. My set producer is my husband.
All right. Shout out to the producer who getting you set up, and shout out to you for hanging out with us at Soul Thursday. Well,